Hello and welcome. Tonight, the Senate frowns at delays in the release and utilization of capital budgets, threatens zero allocation for agencies that fail to appear before it. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, asked judicial officers to work towards changing the negative perception that the judiciary has become known for. Vice President Kashim Shettima criticizes the leader of the British Conservative Party, Kemi Badenoch, for disparaging Nigeria. And Syrian Civil Defense Group has deployed specialist emergency teams to Saydanaya prison in the capital Damascus, following reports that inmates are trapped in underground cells.
On business news, Nigeria exits International Air Transport Association's blacklist after clearing 831 million.
Through its finance committee, has issued a stern warning to government-owned agencies that fail to provide proper expenditure records from the 2024 fiscal year. The chairman of the finance committee, Senator Sani Musa, who issued the threat during an investigative hearing, underscored that the committee will withhold allocations to any agency that does not comply with its summons for scrutiny. In an interface with the Accountant General of the Federation, Mrs. Oluwatoyin Madeng, the committee expressed dissatisfaction with the centralized payment system managed by the Office of the Accountant General. It also came under scrutiny as members frowned at delays in the release and utilization of capital budgets. Our National Assembly correspondent, Gloria Umezoke, now reports.
Central District.
It's an investigative hearing by the Senate Committee on Finance on the remittance of internally generated revenue, fiscal accountability, and the overall state of the country's financial management system.
We also want to find out about the entire revenue generation in Nigeria.
The Accountant General of the Federation proceeded to present a summary of revenues up to September 2024, but general dissatisfaction over the payment system was observed.
September 2024, totaling 2.7 trillion. Then the operating surplus from the GOEs amounting to 2.3 trillion. Then the MDA's IGR up to September amounted to 344 billion.
There are general complaints everywhere that there are delays for payment because payment is now over-centralized.
Our worry is this. This is December. And as we speak, we have met with several agencies. The performance level of the 2024 budget is nothing to write home about. And everybody is that is why the expectation of the 2024 budget to announce that is not interesting.
The apparent discrepancies observed by the lawmakers drew further criticisms.
What is delaying the release of the funds? There are two things I want to hear. Is there no funds available? Or there are queries to those things that have been uploaded?
I can say it's combination of all that you have said. Sometimes when the warrants are released, fund may not be in the account, but that is always addressed as early as possible.
Concerns were also raised about low stamp duty revenues as lawmakers attributed the shortfall to poor budget performance.
Total IGR 60.7 million and under stamp duty 3.8 million. Then 2024 as a date, total 93.2 million.
The committee thereafter resolved to summon other critical agencies, including NNPCL and NATI, threatening zero allocation for non-compliant agencies. Separately, lawmakers from the Southeast had a closed-door meeting to discuss the tax reform bills. Aside supporting the bills, the senators are calling for wider consultations.
As much as we are not against the bill, that we would also have to do further consultations with our different constituencies and the state government. We think that the result of those consultations will lead to a better bill being passed and a much more equitable framework.
Now, the next few weeks are undoubtedly crucial in determining whether or not the push for wider consultations can coexist with the urgency for legislative action. Gloria Umezoke, Channels Television News.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, is asking judicial officers to collectively work towards changing the negative perception that the judiciary has become known for by the public. Justice Kekereekun was speaking at the annual Judges Conference for Court of Appeal Justices in Abuja. She calls for regular conferences among judges to promote consistency and uniformity in the administration of justice and address conflicting court judgments.
The ceremonial courtroom of the Court of Appeal is filled to capacity for the annual conference for justices of the Court of Appeal. The ceremony brings together justices of the Appellate Court, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, retired Chief Justices, some ministers, and senior advocates of Nigeria. The Chief Justice of Nigeria tasked the judicial officers to change the dwindling perception of the judiciary.
There is a growing negative perception of the judiciary. We must all individually and collectively work towards changing this negative perception. We look into genuine complaints. We will also stand to support our judges and justices to make sure that where frivolous allegations are made, that there are consequences.
The conference provides a platform for introspection, knowledge sharing, and strategic planning amongst judges, especially amidst allegation of corruption within the justice system.
Justices occupy a position of paramount importance in the administration of justice, and with their decisions exerting a profound impact on individuals, communities, and society at large. Nevertheless, despite our expertise and experience, we are not immune to the limitations inherent in human decision-making, including errors, biases, and prejudices.
Allegations are first made in the social media to the world at large, before complainants think fit, if at all, to refer matters to the National Judicial Council. The public and the press pass judgment on these allegations, and all that the complainants appear to require from the National Judicial Council is to rubber stamp those conclusions and punish the judges.
The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, emphasized the constitutional separation of powers, highlighting the challenges facing judicial independence.
My lords, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we must acknowledge, and I do, that challenges to judicial independence persist. These challenges can come from various or multifaceted sources, including but not limited to political interference, public opinion especially perpetrated on social media, and even well-intentioned efforts to improve the justice system. It is, however, imperative that we remain vigilant and steadfast in our defense of judicial independence.
The conference is an avenue for judicial officers to deliberate on issues affecting the justice system and prefer solutions as the court gears towards the 2024-2025 legal year.
In Kebbi State, the police say it has rescued 36 kidnapped victims along Mirera Bena Road in Danko Wasagu local government area of the state. A statement by the spokesman of the Kebbi State Police Command, Nafiu Abubakar, says on December the 8th, gunmen in their numbers barricaded the Mirera Bena Road in Danko Wasagu local government area and abducted the 36 people coming back from their farms. According to him, a combined team of the police, army and vigilantes swiftly mobilized to the scene and engaged the bandits in a gun duel, overpowering them and forcing the bandits to escape into the forest with gunshot wounds, and successfully rescued all the 36 victims unhurt, but have since been reunited with their families. Vice President Kashim Shettima is criticizing the leader of the British Conservative Party, Kemi Badenoch, for disparaging Nigeria. He stated this at the 10th Annual National Migration Dialogue at the State House, Abuja. The Vice President also highlighted the significant role migrants play in shaping societies and driving economic growth. He reaffirms the commitment of the government to protecting the rights of migrants, celebrating their legacy and contributions to national development. Our correspondent, Benny Ark, reports.
The 10th Annual National Migration Dialogue provides a platform for stakeholders to reflect on Nigeria's migration journey and forge innovative strategies to address emerging challenges. Themed Beyond Borders, celebrating migrants' legacy, protecting their rights. The event coincides with the commemoration of the International Migrants' Day and had in attendance Vice President Kashim Shettima, members of the diplomatic corps, and traditional rulers. The event provided valuable insights into Nigeria's migration journey and the need for coordinated efforts to address the challenges associated with migration.
We are actively formulating a national action plan aligned with the national policy on internally displaced persons. However, this critical undertaking demands significant support, including technical expertise, interagency cooperation, and adequate funding.
IOM has really worked with the Commission and all the authority at federal level as well as state level in order for Nigeria to really go ahead in terms of policy on internal displacement, as well as the advocacy for the domestication of the Kampala Convention, as well as the action plan for the implementation of the IDP policy.
The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction highlights the imperative of ensuring inclusiveness and protecting the rights of migrants.
Let us strengthen bilateral labor agreements with destination countries to safeguard the rights of migrants. We should also enhance the internal migration policies to address disparities and disparities in development and reduce irregulation in migration.
Vice President Kashim Shettima did not spare the leader of the British opposition over her comments on migration, while reaffirming the federal government's commitment to protecting the rights of migrants.
The federal government of Nigeria, under the able and capable leadership of His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, remains resolute in addressing migration challenges. Migrants are the source of life in all societies. Rishi Sunak, the former British Prime Minister, is originally from India. A very brilliant young man. He never denigrated his nation of ancestry, nor poured venoms on India. Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the British Labour or Conservative Party. We are proud of her, in spite of her efforts at denigrating her nation of origin. She is entitled to her own opinions. She has even every right to remove the Kemi from her name. But that does not underscore the fact that the greatest black nation on earth is the nation called Nigeria.
The dialogue underscores the need for more coordinated efforts to address migration challenges while harnessing potential for economic growth and resilience. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, we turn our searchlight to the federal government's 2024 economic review. We will be joined in the studio by the Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company Limited, Mr. Bismarck Rewani. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. The Senate frowns at delays in the release and utilization of capital budgets, threatens zero allocation for agencies that fail to appear before it. Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, asked judicial officers to work towards changing the negative perception that the judiciary has become known for. Vice President Kashim Shettima criticizes the leader of the British Conservative Party, Kemi Badenoch, for disparaging Nigeria. And Syrian Civil Defense Group has deployed specialist emergency teams to Sadanaya prison in the capital Damascus, following reports that inmates are trapped in underground cells. Recently, the federal government launched the 2024 Economic Review Report with projections for the year 2025. Now, in spite of assurances that government will tighten monetary policies, help improve agricultural productivity, and even enhance foreign exchange rate stability, there are concerns still on how it intends to control the issue of rising inflation, as many Nigerians continue to grapple with the harsh economic situation. Well, tonight on the News at 10, I'm now joined by the CEO of Financial Derivatives Company Limited, Mr. Bismarck Rawani, to discuss the issues. Mr. Rawani, great to have you on the News at 10.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
All right. So, of course, the 2024 Economic Review is already out from the federal government. And it appears the news we're getting from the present administration is, the economic reform policies are yielding results. We talk about reunification of foreign exchange rates, Naira appreciating, and the rest of it. But Nigerians are still worried about the issue of inflation, of course, which I talked about. Now, what's the situation, Mr. Rawani? What's the situation with the economy? Are we on a mend or at a bend?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's where we are. Mending, bending. But the reality is that things are improving slowly, very slowly, but people don't believe. So you start by saying, what were our broad goals? One is that we said the economy will get to $1 trillion by the year 2030. We are at 368. I don't think we're going to get there, right? Annual average growth rate of 7%. So to get to $1 trillion, you need to grow at 40% a year. So we're not going to grow at 40%. Can we achieve a growth rate of 7% when we're at 3.16 now? Possible, but it's going to take a lot of work and hard, it's a hard road to travel. Single-digit interest rates, not in the near term. Inflation rate of 9%. These were the broad goals we had a couple of years ago. Inflation rate of 9%. The projections are that for November, inflation rate is going to be at 34.6%. Exchange rate of 900 Naira to $1. That's a far cry from now. So we're going to.
It is a far cry from now.
And the national rate of unemployment. So the reality is that what were the policies? Eliminate petroleum subsidies, manage floating exchange rate, palliatives targeted at small and medium-scale enterprises, monetary policy tightening, tax reforms, and palliatives for consumers. So those are the goals. But what evidence-based macroeconomic scorecard? This is what the evidence tells you. There are 6 variables here. 3 are in green and 3 are in red. First one is that growth has gone from 2.86 to 3.2%. So it's up by 0.34%. But the growth is not inclusive and it does not address the areas where people are employed. Inflation rate target 24.7 in 2023, now 33.2, but we expect it to go up to 34.6 in November, but begins to taper and get better in 2025. Trade balance, this is the difference between your exports and your imports. We are going from $3.5 billion to $13.78 billion. What this means is that your currency should be stronger, the economy should be more robust. And so this is positive, but it has to translate down to the people. People are not feeling this at all. People feel hardship and they are sulking. The stock market capitalization, interestingly, it's gone up to 39.56 to 58.3. This is because of listing, and we'll come back to where we're going to see the profits. Companies are declaring losses. So consumers are sweltering under inflation, and companies are declaring losses. But it takes time for things to change. The target by this time last year, the currency was at 8.99 Naira to $1. Today, it's actually at about 16.40, right? So the currency has actually tanked a little bit. And total debt was 97 trillion. At this time last year, it is now 154 trillion. So balanced scorecard, 3 greens, 3 reds. So you can't complain. Now, a closer look at the GDP. You can see that it's been going this way, right? And GDP per head is now down to $1,900, right? Some say it's $1,000, some say it's $1,000, depending on what GDP numbers you use. But this is where we want to get to. We want to get to $1 trillion. This is not going to happen. So we'll probably get somewhere closer by 2026, 2027. We begin to grow at about 5-6%. But you must do something about power supply and agri. This is the Naira. The worst position of the Naira was sometime in February this year. We got to 1,000 Naira and 15 Naira to $1. Ever since then, the central bank has been working, putting more money. We've raised some money in the Eurobond, diaspora bond. Federal Ministry of Finance and Coordinating Ministry of Economy are working their asses out to make sure that things happen. So recently, in the last few days, we had this euphoria, right? The Naira getting back to 1580 and all of that. But this afternoon, it went all the way back to 1630, 1640, right? So
another
again,
source of concern.
Yeah. So you can't. These numbers, this currency has to find its true path. It's misaligned. So this is where it's high volatility, the Naira stable. And so what is the true value of the Naira, right? The question is, this is what if you take the price of goods in New York and price of goods in Nigeria, you find that the true value, the fair value is about 1,151 Naira. That's where it should be. But because it's a frontier currency, you have to add another 25%. So if you add another 300 Naira, so you get about 1,400. That would be where it should be trading at today. But because of all sorts of things, the currency is undervalued by 26%. So today, parallel market is at 1640. NAFEM rate, which is the official rate, is 1567. And fair value is 1151. There's a lot of work to be done. The central bank has to announce its policy and a program for selling the currency so that it doesn't run away. We think, we think that the currency will come to about 1550 by February, not before February.
February 2025.
2025. And then begins to be stable. Now, what these reforms mean, the government got 16 trillion Naira last year because you're paying more for petrol and subsidies have been reduced. This year, we've got 23 trillion Naira. You can see 43% increase. But the fiscal deficit could have been as high as 8 or 9% minus, but now it's minus 5, 6. So it's negative, but marginal. Total debt was 46 trillion Naira. In 2023, it's now 134 trillion Naira, negative 190%. And external reserves have gone up, gross external reserves, mind you, not net, gone from 32 to 40 billion. So basically, you've increased your debt and increased your gross reserves. Now, how are the corporates feeling it? Because the government is making more money, right? Corporate Nigeria, top 10 forex losses by quoted firms, 1.7 trillion. Banks made some forex gains of 1.4 trillion. So net, we're having minus 300 billion Naira. And that means that corporate income tax will be down. And this is 2023 numbers. When you now look at 2024 numbers, they're much worse than this. And that's why you're having some divestments at this time. Next slide, please. Now, so what does this mean? This is the basket. This is the official basket that says inflation is at 32.7. The unofficial synthetic basket says inflation is at 52.3. Transport fares are up, but slowly, because, Dangote has brought down the price of petrol, not reflected in the petrol stations yet. House rents are up, and minimum wage is up to 70,000 Naira per man, right? So what does this mean?
What does this mean?
It means that inflation...
Even now as the Yuletide approaches.
Our projections are that inflation is going to go up to about 34.65. It will be announced on Sunday next week, right? And so Dangote refinery is the game changer, really. We have two refineries, one in Port Harcourt that claims to be producing, right? And there's one that is producing right here. So until you see, policy change without institutional reform is the problem. So if you say the Port Harcourt refinery is producing, then you still have to reform the NNPC to make sure that people can feel the tangible results. But right now, what we are seeing here is the quality of Dangote petrol is there, kerosene, and also diesel. The prices have not actually reflected the reduction which was announced, but at least the quality is there, the quantity is there, and supply is, consistent. So what does it do? It reduces production costs and it creates jobs and drives economic stability. For now.
For now.
But in the end, we're going to come back to what does it mean? Recent developments, Dangote Refinery and Port Harcourt Refinery, we don't know, neither here nor there.
Even though the government says it's working at some level of capacity.
Again, announcements are one thing, but reality is that people are still buying petrol at 1080 and we don't know what. Orthodox monetary policy is working, interest rates are high, and the Naira has stopped depreciating, but there's still a lot of work to be done there. Tax reform, good economics, but bad politics, right? So we got to manage. The economics of tax reform is that taxes have 4 canons. One, it must generate revenue. The tax reform is going to increase revenue. That it must be fair and equitable. That is, the rich must pay more than the poor. It tries to do that, right? It's easy to administer. Yes, the process is making it possible, but you need to consult people. People have to believe in you. People have to believe what you say because they hear you, but they don't believe you. That means you're getting the wrong result. So
we talk about foreign investment as well.
Foreign investment is a major issue. We're having some divestments, right? And until people begin to see the effect, right, that they hear you, they don't believe you, but what you do is more important than what you say. And that is why foreign investors are tentative. But we are beginning to see some, people are coming back, right? A few people are coming back, but we've seen some divestment. We've seen what has happened to Lafarge. We've seen what has happened to Diageo. But the good news is that international investors are taking over from international investors, which means net, it's about the same thing. But we've also seen some divestments of E&P companies, that is the exploration and production companies upstream. We've seen that happen for Shell, we've seen that happen for Chevron, for Mobil, and there are going to be more. But basically, they are selling the land and swamp assets and going into the deep offshore. But in due course, we begin to see an improvement because the PIA has been passed, and some of these things take time before you start seeing the results. So, to be honest with you, 2025 is going to be better than 2024. But 2024 was the bottom of it. But I don't think people should be carried away by, there's a difference between happy statistics and unhappy people, right? So what you want to do is to have happy statistics, happy people, and people who believe that the future will be much better than the past. That's where we are. So Nigeria will maintain economic growth momentum. 2025 is breaking away from a decade of tepid growth. And quite frankly, what we say, like I said, February will be much better than January. But don't be excited because this Christmas, the bag of rice.
Which I was always going to, that will Nigerians be able to afford some of the basic?
The bag of rice actually went as high as 140, but it's now at about 110. We've seen chickens, right? Live chickens are 45,000 naira now. And that last year, this was about 25. Last year, the bag of rice was about 55,000 naira. What are we seeing? Eggs are now going for 7,800. Never heard of in the history of this country, right? So eggs, expensive, right? Rice, 110, right? And then we see beans is also down at about 140. But what is interesting is that the prices are not galloping away as they used to, but they are still beyond the reach of the average Nigerian. So hardship is here.
Have to leave it at
but let's say that this is the Christmas that, unlike last year where there was plenty, by this time last year I've received maybe 4 or 5 hampers or even 10 hampers. But this year I've had maybe 1. And I'm one of the lucky few that I've got 1.
You're one of the lucky few. We'll definitely
thank you very much.
That. Mr. Bismarck Rwani, CEO of Financial Derivatives Company, we thank you for your thoughts on the News at 10.
Thank you for having me.
Still ahead on the news at 10. Nigeria exits International Air Transport Association's blocked list after clearing $831 million airline funds. That's some business news. Please join us again. Welcome back. Let's now head to the nation's capital, where Victoria Long John is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Over to you, Victoria.
Thank you, Ayo. Rights activist and legal practitioner Dele Farotimi has been granted bail by a federal high court sitting in Ado-Ekiti, Ekiti State. The court granted bail in the sum of 50 million naira with a surety in the same amount and must provide landed property as collateral. The presidential candidate of the African Action Congress in the 2023 election, Omoyele Sowore, disclosed the court's decision via his X handle today. His tweet also said, quote, "The first hurdle was crossed. Dele Farotimi was granted bail of 50 million naira surety in the like sum with someone with landed property. The case was adjourned to January 29, 2025, unquote." Channels Television also learned that Professor Festus Emiri SAN led the defense team before the Federal High Court today. Other bail conditions as granted by the court are that the surety must be resident in Ekiti and must possess 3 years tax clearance with the property within the state. The surety is to deposit title deed of the property with the registrar of the court. The surety and the defendant must also submit 4 recent passport pictures to the court. The defendant, Mr. Farotimi, is also to deposit his international passport with the registrar of the court. Mr. Farotimi's legal troubles stem from allegations of defamation of Chief Afe Babalola, a senior advocate of Nigeria, regarding statements in Mr. Farotimi's book titled Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System. Meanwhile, ahead of tomorrow's hearing of the criminal charge against Mr. Farotimi, the Lagos-based legal practitioner has filed a preliminary objection asking the magistrate court to strike out the suit. The preliminary objection, dated December 9, was filed through his lawyer, senior advocate of Nigeria, Adeyinka Olumide Fusika, leading 19 others. In the 5 grounds of the objection, Farotimi contends, amongst other things, that the charge before the magistrate court is unknown to law, non-existent, and that the magistrate acted without jurisdiction on an incompetent charge. In the meantime, a group under the Aegis of Justice for In the meantime, a group under the Aegis for Justice for Afe Babalola Legacy has warned the protesters planning to demonstrate in Ekiti over the legal battle between the founder of Afe Babalola University, Are Afe Babalola, and human rights activist Dele Farotimi to desist from such action or face dire consequences. And the Edo 2024 Governorship Election Petition Tribunal has adjourned till December the 18th for continuation of its pre-hearing session in the petition filed by Aswe Ighodalo and the PDP against INEC, Governor Monday Okpebholo, and the All Progressives Congress APC. The Council to the Parties on resumption of the sitting adopted answers in their pre-hearing information sheets, after which they applied that the tribunal adjourn till next week to hear pending motions. Prior to the sitting, the tribunal had an inaugural session where the chairman of the 3-member panel, Justice Wilfred Pochi, sought the cooperation of counsel to ensure smooth proceedings. The counsel to the parties assured the tribunal of their dedication to professionalism in the discharge of their duties. Aside from the PDP petition, 6 other petitions from Accord Party, Action Alliance, Social Democratic Party, Allied People's Movement, Action Democratic Party, and the Zenith Labour Party are also before the tribunal. In its usual tradition of ensuring a fun experience during the Yuletide, Zenith Bank 2024 Children Youth Parade has taken place in Lagos with a lot of exciting activities. The management of the bank says this year's theme, No Limitation, is a reminder of the immense potential and talents our youth possess and the need to properly harness them.
Ajose Adogo Victoria Island transforms into a huge carnival space as Zenith Bank hosts guests to the 16th edition of its annual Children and Youth Parade. Families arrive in numbers to a very colorful event featuring various fun activities, and the children take advantage of the moment. In her welcome address, the Group Managing Director of the bank, here represented, welcomes all to a tradition the bank holds in high esteem.
This year's theme, No Limitations, is a call to action, urging our young people to dream big, be bold, and strive for excellence in all that they do. It is a reminder that with determination, hard work, and right support, they can overcome any obstacle and achieve greatness.
From the stage to the parade ground, the excitement is palpable and no one is left out.
I want to say thank you to Zenith Bank for making this possible.
Thank you, Zenith Bank. Thank you, Zenith Bank.
Zenith!
There is a gift for everyone, and the management of the bank says this is one culture that is bound to continue.
This was actually established by our founder and chairman, Dr. Jimovia CFR, who thought it deemed it fit at that time to make sure that the children were also incorporated into whatever we were doing, because they signify what the future portends.
Let me use the opportunity to say a big thank you to our customer for the patronage, for partnering with Zenith Bank, to also let them know we are there for them, to support their business, to grow together.
Barely 2 weeks after the Zenith Bank light-up ceremony, the bank has once again demonstrated its commitment to creating a fun environment for everyone.
It's time to party, it's time to party. Let me see that good energy. Let's go.
And that's it from the nation's capital. It's now over to Will Ibong for business news.
Thank you, Victoria. Now, Mikano Motors, in partnership with Shangan Automobiles, has formally unveiled two premium models from Shangan, the all-new CS95 and the X7 Plus. Both vehicles were introduced at the Mikano Motors showroom in Lagos shortly before the Shangan Festive Night 2024.
The Mikano Motors Shangan showroom in Victoria Island, Lagos, buzzes with excitement as guests gather to celebrate an exclusive partnership between Mikano Motors and Shangan Automobiles. The evening promises the unveiling of two exceptional vehicles, the luxury all-new CS95 and the urban-friendly X7 Plus.
3, 2, 1.
With dramatic flair, the X7 Plus is first unveiled, showcasing a compact yet stylish frame that captivates the guests.
Turn around!
Moments later, the Shangan CS95 makes its entrance with its bold design, sleek lines, and luxurious leather interior. After the unveiling, the celebration shifts to the event hall where the Festive Night 24 continues. Executives from Mikano Motors and Shangan Automobiles share their vision for the vehicles.
When we launched Shangan just 2 short years ago as the official dealer, we had a bold vision. It was to redefine the automotive experience in Nigeria and to set new standards of excellence. In just 2 years, Shangan has risen to become a leader in the automotive market, a milestone we are incredibly proud of.
We are pleased to find a strong and like-minded partner in Mikano International Limited. We shall face up to the competition, continue to introduce globally recognized China models, including our deeper new energy vehicles.
We currently have over 10 models in our lineup, and we've been managed to put thousands of cars on Nigerian roads
over the 2 years. And we will always look forward to providing you with the best services and the best products that we have to offer.
For the brand, the Shangan CS95 and X7 Plus are not just cars, they are bold statements of style, performance, and practicality.
For the CS95, the all-new CS95 Plus, our target audience is executives and also people with large families because, like we said earlier, it's a 3-row, 7-seat SUV. The X7 is slightly smaller, so that's also perfect for families with small kids, and the smaller kids can sit at the back row, you know, leaving ample space for the family to travel together.
Mikano is definitely one that stands out. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for always taking good care of me. I say it all the time that Mikano is family.
The Shangan Festive Night 24 is more than a launch. It's a celebration of automotive excellence.
Now, for the first time, Nigeria is off the list of countries with trapped airline funds as the International Air Transport Association, IATA, reports $1.7 billion in blocked revenues globally as of October 2024, and that's down from $1.8 billion in April. IATA confirms that Nigeria has resolved $831 million of trapped funds since June 2023, leaving only $90 million awaiting central bank verification through commercial banks. And at the domestic equities market, it opened the new week with bearish sentiments. Vladimir Williams tells us more.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. It's another day, another Naira in the market, but the equities market doesn't seem to be following the strong rally we saw with the Naira last week today, opening the week down 0.11%, but still holding on to the 98,000 level. Start the Monday trade, 59 trillion for the market cap. And you can see the trading was kind of subdued today, talking about volume and value of trades. Then again, the gainers counter from topping the weekly gainers chart with a 45.95% gain last week. Golden Guinea Breweries PLC is back again, topping the gainers counter today, closing at 5 Naira 94 kobo, up a full-on 10%. And I'm wondering at this point, will it be the top gainer again this week? We'll definitely find out. We'll see NJX Group there. I'm also up about 10%, 27 Naira 50 kobo. Today, 18 stocks gained, while 35 stocks posted losses, giving way for a red start.
That's a wrap on business. It's back to Ayotune for the rest of the news at 10.
Thanks, Will. Here's Simon Pusey with Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. A Syrian civil defense group has deployed specialist emergency teams to Saidnaya prison in the capital Damascus, following reports that inmates are trapped in underground cells. Here, prisoners in the city of Homs are celebrating their release, shouting, "God is great." 10 years in prison, this man shouts as he runs to freedom. It's feared thousands of inmates, though, could still be trapped in secret prisons across the country. Elsewhere across Syria, the celebrations continue. Here, the Syrian rebel flag being raised outside the Syrian embassy in Moscow, the same city that its now deposed ruler Bashar al-Assad is now hiding in. Syrians in countries around the world have been celebrating the fall of the regime too, here in Sydney and here on the streets of Libya.
After 13 years of civil war in Syria, more than half a century of brutal authoritarian rule by Bashar Assad and his father before him, rebel forces have forced Assad to resign his office and flee the country. We're not sure where he is, but there's word that he's in Moscow. At long last, the Assad regime has fallen. As we all turn to the question of what comes next, the United States will work with our partners and the stakeholders in Syria to help them seize an opportunity to manage the risks.
Any political transition must ensure accountability for perpetrators of serious violations and guarantee that those responsible are held to account. It is imperative that all evidence be collected and preserved meticulously for future use.
President-elect Donald Trump has said he will look at pardons for those involved in the 2021 U.S. Capitol riot on his first day back in office next month. The Republican also vowed to end automatic citizenship for anyone born in the country, but offered to work with Democrats to help some undocumented immigrants who were brought to the U.S. as children. In the wide-ranging sit-down, which was recorded on Friday, Mr. Trump promised to issue a lot of executive orders, including on immigration, energy, and the economy, after he is inaugurated on the 20th of January. Police have released 2 images of a suspect in the hunt for the gunman who killed a health insurance chief executive in New York. United Healthcare boss Brian Thompson was shot in the back as he made his way to a conference in what police believe was a targeted attack. The FBI has offered a $50,000 reward for information leading to the suspect's arrest. The first official results have been released from Saturday's presidential election in Ghana, and they look set to confirm the victory of the opposition candidate and former president, John Mahama. With results in from 12 of the country's 16 regions, Mahama has a strong lead of 61% against 38% for the vice president, Mahamadou Bawumia. The vice president has already accepted defeat and congratulated Mahama on his victory on Sunday, but there had been some frustration that it has taken so long to announce the official results. President Nana Akufo-Addo is stepping down after reaching the official limit of 2 terms in office. And a volcano in the central Philippines has erupted for a second time this year, prompting emergency evacuations after it spewed a huge column of ash into the sky. Mount Canlaon, an active volcano straddling the Southeast Asian country's central provinces of Negros Occidental and Negros Oriental, sent an ash cloud up to 4,000 meters into the sky. Mount Canlaon is one of 24 active volcanoes in the Philippines, which is located on the so-called Pacific Ring of Fire.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
A quick look at sports. Premier League official David Coates has been sacked after referee Chiefs described his position as unattainable over a video making rash remarks about former Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp. Coates was suspended last month after the video emerged on social media in which he branded Klopp arrogant and used offensive language. But that's for tonight. It's back to Ayotunde.
And the main news again. The Senate has frowned at delays in the release and utilization of capital budgets, while the upper legislative chamber threatens zero allocation for agencies that fail to appear before it. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Do have a good night.